you still feel noble, and the others too feel your nobility, though they bear you a grudge and send you evil glances. Know that the noble man stands in everybody's way. The noble man stands in the way of the good too, and even if they call him one of the good, they thus want to do away with him. The noble man wants to create something new and a new virtue. The good want the old, and that the old be preserved. But this is not the danger of the noble man, that he might become one of the good, but a churl, a mocker, a destroyer. But by my love and hope I beseech you, do not throw away the hero in your soul. Hold holy your highest hope. Thus spoke Zarathustra by Friedrich Nietzsche, the Kaufman translation. My last video, I discussed the nature of evil, that evil is simply a perversion of the good. So it behooves me then to ask the question, what is the nature of good? What is the good man? The decent man? The nice man? Nice, from the Latin root nescius, from the verb scire, to know, with ne put in front of it. The know-nothing, the fool. And as happy and go-lucky as any fool might be, they inevitably fall into folly. So this good man, this decent man, this nice man, what does he look like? What does he do? Well, perhaps he's listened well to all of the lectures on political correctness, on respect for others. And so he minds his P's and Q's, and he behaves as is appropriate, respecting the differences of others, while secretly within his own mind, holding the most childlike and insane prejudices against those groups that aren't specifically protected. The foolish man, perhaps he becomes a soldier, as he is told to do. He goes to war to fight in the battle that he's been taught is the correct battle, but he's never a warrior in his heart. The good man. Perhaps he's a man of enormous loins and bestial hungers. If he is an evil man, he pursues those hungers in the wrong way. If he is a good man, he sates his thirst in the way that's approved. Or perhaps not loins, but a great intellect on this one. In that case, be he evil, he becomes a manipulator, a scam artist, a financier. But if he is good, why, he becomes a technocrat, and he manipulates all the pieces on the chessboard, never questioning whether technocracy is something right in the first place. You see, the good man is a dog. Goodness is what dogs are expected to perform. He is not a wolf. Dogs can be good or dogs can be bad. A wolf is another thing entirely. And the good man shakes in terror and reacts with violence when he sees the wolf. Obedience to the herd, that is the good man's mantra. You see, once upon a time, a long time ago, we actually understood what virtue was. The Greeks and the Romans, they understood this. They recognized that virtue was fundamentally a combination of two extremes, that it was a middle ground between two things, between the lust of the loins and the rarefied thought of the mind. In the center, in the chest, with the heart pumping blood, that is where virtue exists. You see it throughout the Greek and Roman culture. Their greatest tragedies weren't about this paltry form of evil that the twisted little good man exhibits. Rather, they were about characters that were imbalanced, whose virtues weren't perfectly aligned, and who destroyed themselves out of their love for life. It is the Greeks that isolated the four virtues. Justice, the virtue of justice. But how can you have justice without a combination of the two? You see, the loins know nothing but revenge, and the mind has this rarefied, abstract acceptance of all. Whenever you hear a liberal talking about how it was social circumstances that led to this behavior, that is the mind's inability to understand justice. Justice happens in the heart. Temperance, to consume with moderation, to control your behavior. But how can you control behavior without, first of all, a hunger, a thirst that needs to be sated, and a mind that knows when to stop? Courage. Courage, you need something to fight for, some principle beyond just your mere survival. If it was your mere survival, you'd be running from the battle. Courage, again, these union of opposites in the mind, this celebration of the totality of man, that is what courage is. And finally, prudence, the Tao, walking with grace. To have prudence is to understand that you are a man, you are a creature of flesh and blood that came out of this earth, but who can also hear the clarion call of the godly, the mandate of heaven. But the good man, he twists these virtues. He twists and distorts them. Instead of justice, we have peace. Just peace. Nothing to live or die for. No judgment upon any. Instead of temperance, we have abstinence. We have the obese, degenerate modern man that doesn't eat any animal fats, that eats nothing but what they're told to. That perfect little food pyramid that's killing them with heart attacks. They do what they're told, they don't think for themselves, and cigarettes, drugs, alcohol, all of them looked down upon and despised. Instead of courage, instead of tackling opponents that need to be destroyed, we have forbearance. The modern man is courageous because he goes and works at his soul-numbing job to support a family. He is courageous that he takes the slings and arrows and doesn't respond to them, that he contains all of his rage and is obedient. Forbearance is the new courage. And finally, prudence. Prudence has become obedience. Prudence is understanding the way. It is understanding grace. It is walking with the light. The modern man, the nice man, the good man, he is obedient. He does what he is told to do. The good man is a beetle. He walks upon a hard, cracked earth, never knowing what lies inside, with a neck too stiff to stare up at the heavens. He has neither roots nor dreams. The good man is a bloodsucker. The good man has loins and head, but he has no chest, he has no heart. Just as much as he doesn't know the earth, he doesn't know what blood is. And if he spots somebody with a chest and a heart and blood pumping through them, violence is the result. He attacks. He needs to drain that blood. They are zombies. They are vampires with no souls and no blood and no home upon the earth. The good man lives for death. Everything the good man does is seeking after sleep and death. The good man pretends to be a teenager his entire life, always seeking after the immediate benefit of a stimulus, of a little bit of joy, who seeks the self-elimination of the orgasm's petit mar, and who might as well be on a heroin drip. Terrified of death, they live their entire lives asleep. There are those with consumption of the soul. Hardly are they born when they begin to die and to long for doctrines of weariness and renunciation. They would like to be dead, and we should welcome their wish. Let us beware of waking the dead and disturbing these living coffins. Because when you open up the coffin, when you disturb the good man from his slumber, he attacks and calls you a villain and turns into that vampiric object monster. I'd like to finish off this video with a poem that guy goes by the name of Categories Plus Sheaves was good enough to leave on my blog. It's by Brecht, The Interrogation of the Good. Step forward, we hear that you are a good man. You cannot be bought, but the lightning which strikes the house also cannot be bought. You hold to what you said, but what did you say? You are honest, you say your opinion. Which opinion? You are brave. Against whom? You do not consider your personal advantages. Whose advantages do you consider then? You are a good friend. Are you also a good friend of the good people? Hear us then. We know you are our enemy. This is why we shall now put you in front of a wall. But in consideration of your merits and good qualities, we shall put you in front of a good wall, and shoot you with a good bullet from a good gun, and bury you with a good shovel in the good earth. I don't do these videos for the good. I do them for the great, for the noble, for the righteous. The good crawl about in the muck, celebrating their muck, with nothing but schadenfreude, because the light of creation, the light of love, the heart and the chest that C.S. Lewis wrote about, does not exist in them. So they see the great, and they attack, they tear down. Their own jealousy, because they cannot create, drives them to a visceral hatred of anybody who can. Every great thinker in history, scientist, musician, artist, writer, philosopher, every single one of them has written about this herd. How the petty and the deformed always attack their betters. The petty and deformed, who cannot even create their own society, attack the very people that create it for them. The evil are vile little monsters, but they're fairly rare and quite easy to deal with. Quite frankly, it's the good that terrifies me. Take care of yourselves, you men of the West. Arini out.